Here we are in a quiet place in Moose Jaw. It's a playroom, but we're going to talk about the upcoming events for the Moose Jaw Transition House. And I have here Karen Kloss to talk about the events that are taking place in Moose Jaw to kind of recognize and be proactive with negating violence against women. So Karen, welcome.
Thank you. Hi. Welcome. Welcome here.
So we were trying to get this organized. You are a busy woman.
Sometimes, yeah. I think certainly Transition House tries to be involved in a lot of interagency work, and I think this week when you were calling me, I was doing some of that stuff. So
For sure. I know December 6th, of course, is a day of importance. There's a couple of events taking place that are really important. So I'm going to let you tell us about them.
For sure. December 6th is the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. It was designated by the federal government in '91, and that was 2 years after a tragedy that's since become known as the Montreal Massacre. It was an event where a single gunman entered L'École Polytechnique in Montreal, separated men from women and targeted women. In the end, 14 women were murdered, and it was probably the worst case of gender-based violence in Canada, at least at that time. So in '91, the government decided that they wanted to declare it a day of remembrance and action on that issue so that we'd never see a tragedy like that happen again. So here in Moose Jaw, the Partners Against Violence, which is an interagency committee, has worked to promote not only that day, but also the White Ribbon Campaign. So the White Ribbon Campaign also grew from the events in Montreal that day. A handful of men in Canada decided that men needed to take a stand and become more proactive in ending violence against women. And so the White Ribbon Campaign is a men's campaign to end violence against women. But certainly men and women can wear the ribbon and support the campaign. So here in Moose Jaw, we're promoting the campaign. We began on November 25th, which is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And we will promote the campaign until December 6th. So ribbons are available in a few places around town. And then on December 6th, Transition House is hosting a luncheon at Timothy Eaton Gardens. And we have a guest speaker coming to talk about men ending violence against women. And it's Squadron Chief Alan Blakeney from 15 Wing. He's with the 431 Squadron. Yes, that's right. So he's our speaker. We're really looking forward to that. And yeah, so the purpose of the luncheon is actually it's a fundraiser. Last year, our board of directors at Transition House decided that we wanted to establish a scholarship fund for women and girls entering non-traditional trades. We thought it was very fitting given the origins of the day. And so that's what the event is about. So we're hoping to raise money for a scholarship. So last year was successful. We're hoping this year will be even more so, and perhaps this year we'll have enough money to now award a scholarship. So
where are you going to hold that?
The event is at Timothy Eaton's, and it's on Thursday the 6th. It's in the hall at Timothy Eaton's. People just need to phone Transition House to register in advance, and tickets are $15. Yeah.
And a good meal, guaranteed.
Yeah, Timothy Eaton's always does a great job. That's right.
No, we've had Chief Blakeney on the show, and he's a very dynamic man. So I'm sure that he will be. And his boss is Colonel Carmichael, and so there's no violence there, of course, but it's an opportunity for him to share his perspective on working in that kind of environment, and also, the Canadian Forces is very conscious of. It's interesting that the Canadian Forces, of course, is a military organization, and violence is part of what they have to do, but they're very aware of how people are treated and involved in their lives.
Yeah.
So you talked about the vigil that's going to take place, and Riverview is going to have something to commemorate that.
Right. We've also partnered with Prairie South, Our outreach program is based at Riverview Collegiate. So Riverview Collegiate is hosting a young women's conference for the students high school students in Prairie South. They've been invited. Yes, hi to Lois, because Lois is the outreach coordinator, and she's been a driving force behind this. So for Transition House's part, it's been all Lois. So they've organized a young women's conference, and it's called the Grandmother Moon Symposium. And they will be beginning with a vigil at 11 a.m. and it's open to the public. And then they have lunch and speakers all afternoon for the young women. The theme is about empowering women through education. So they're hoping to teach young women that education is a means to a life without violence.
You mentioned that the educational scholarship you're looking at is for women in non-traditional roles. What would you consider to be a non-traditional role? Because nowadays women are very active in pursuing education in areas and trades that they like.
Yes, that's true. And certainly enrollments are becoming more and more equivalent. I guess we're meaning, what we used to have called really non-traditional roles. And I think that still in the workforce, even though there's more females in engineering classes and in, those non-traditional trades, in the workforce, they're still very much male dominated. And so the goal is to help support that and promote that. Yeah. So
when I taught at Peacock, I remember one year the top student in welding was a girl, and it's very, very good. And of course, construction. A lot of women have taken that, as a woodworking art skill,
right?
And adapting it to that kind of thing. But working. Of course, there was Rosie the Riveter in the World War II and Josephine the Plumber, which were kind of interesting role models, but this is now trying to make it more commonplace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, I hope that we're past that when we think that that's a man's job or that's a woman's job. I kind of think that we're past that where that would be the attitude, but certainly we want to promote that and help women and girls to have those opportunities. So.
Yeah, so of course Transition House has been in existence for a long time in Moose Jaw, but of course in Canada too. How long has this one been here?
Yeah, well, the location we're in now has been the same since 1980, but the organization first formed in 1978. Wow. So it's certainly been a part of the community for a long time, and certainly we serve more than just the city of Moose Jaw. We also serve a large rural area, so we certainly do appreciate the support that we have. It's sometimes just overwhelming, especially at this time of year. We're always overwhelmed by the support of the people in the community helping the clients that we serve.
Yeah, well, as I came in, you were apologizing for the clutter in the hallway, and it was the Moose Jaw Co-op actually makes every Thursday. You say makes a donation to you. Yeah. Every Thursday we're able to get day-old baked goods from the bakery, and so we're able to not only have bread and goodies here in the shelter, but we're also able to pass it on to clients. So people have stayed with us recently. We call them to come and get bread, and it's a good opportunity for us to stay connected with the clients as well. But yeah, it's just one example of how generous the community is to us. Yeah. So all year long, there's different events occurring for the Transition House to raise funds, because again, it doesn't just function on government grants at all. That's right. I would guess we do receive funding from the Ministry of Justice, and I would guess it covers about 80% of our operational costs. Sometimes our capital costs go above and beyond that. For example, we're just coming to the end of a major project. We've been installing a fire suppression system, the indoor sprinklers, and so that's been an expensive touch. So that's been one thing that we've been needing to allocate some of our donated dollars to. But other operational costs, like I say, we only receive funding for about 80%. So we receive donations, and like you said, there's fundraisers that go on for us, and very often we're not even behind them. For example, the Silent Voices Cabaret first ran in January of this year, and the committee that planned it is planning a second one March 9th in 2013, and they've done that completely on their own to honor a friend of theirs, and we're just the very fortunate beneficiaries. So yeah. Well, that's great. So we're into our last 3 minutes here, so let's just recap the things that are going on December the 6th. December 6th, there will be a luncheon at Timothy Eaton Gardens. The doors will open at 11:30 and the program will get underway at noon. Chief Alan Blakeney will be our speaker, and the subject that day will be men's responsibility to end violence against women, men working to end violence.
We are also hosting the Grandmother Moon Symposium at Riverview with Prairie South.
Where did the title come from? I have to ask because
Actually, I asked Lois the same thing, and it was the students that came up with the title. So I'm not positive myself on all the significance, but yeah, they came up with the title. I think that in Aboriginal culture, the Grandmother Moon is a protector. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah.
Well, it's an interesting choice and our name, and I certainly would catch someone's eye when they
Yeah.
see it or hear it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's been good that the students were a part of that and had the ownership of that. So
Well, that's great. And of course, there is a symposium up at Riverview that people can attend starting at 11.
yes, the vigil will be held at 11 o'clock at Riverview and open to the public.
In the afternoon, they have talkers and speakers. And
Yeah, for the students, there will be various subjects: healthy relationships, setting goals and boundaries, educational topics for the future. Yeah.
And the scholarship funds will all go towards supporting young women who are going to be pursuing careers in non-traditional roles.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And like I said, hopefully after this year, we'll have enough to begin awarding a scholarship. So last year was our first event. So
Okay. Well, Karen, thanks for taking time. I know that there's a lot of things going on. This afternoon, there's a big meeting for
Yeah.
strategic planning.
strategic planning. Yeah, yeah. We're just trying to set some goals for the organization for the coming years. So yeah.
Well, thank you. And again, thanks for all the good work that you and your staff do with the clients that you have here. And it's been a success for over 30 years and will continue to be in the future with support from people in the community and the governments as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, so that finishes off our segment talking about Transition House in December the 6th. Keep those dates in mind, and wear a white ribbon if you can.